I never thought I'd come home to an empty house, keys in hand, tan fading from my Hawaiian getaway, only to find the locks changed and a sold sign stabbed into my front lawn like a betrayal's middle finger. My mom, the woman who'd raised me on apple pie lies and Hallmark holidays, had auctioned off my slice of the American dream to bail out my deadbeat sister again. And the kicker? That $214,000 windfall wasn't for chemo or a fresh start. It was to bury the mountain of gambling debts my sister had racked up in Vegas. Debts tied to a loan shark who whispered threats in the dead of night. I'd always been the good daughter, the fixer, the one who swallowed the family skeletons so they could keep pretending we were the Cleavers. But this was the line she crossed. And as I stood there in the drizzling Seattle rain, staring at the ghost of my life packed into a U-Haul across the street, I felt the first crack in my soul widen into a chasm. Revenge isn't a word you whisper in polite company. It's a scream you bottle until it explodes. And mine was just getting started. The flight back from Maui had been a blur of my ties and forced smiles, my phone on airplane mode to savor the illusion of escape. I'd bought that craftsman bungalow in Capitol Hill 3 years ago, a fixer-upper I'd poured my blood and savings into, peeling wallpaper stripped by my own hands, hardwood floors sanded until they gleamed like new money. It was my anchor in the storm of freelance graphic design gigs that paid just enough to keep the lights on, my sanctuary from the chaos of family. Mom lived 10 miles away in her Renton ranch house, Dad long gone to a heart attack and a bottle of Jack, leaving us girls to navigate the wreckage. Lila, my older sister by 5 years, had always been the wildfire, charismatic, reckless, the one who could charm a room full of strangers into buying her shots while she bled them dry at poker. I'd covered for her since we were kids, forging notes for school skips, slipping 20s from my babysitting cash into her purse when she'd lost hers again. College? I deferred mine to work doubles at the diner so she could chase her acting dream in LA, only for her to drop out after a semester, couch surfing her way back to Seattle with a tattooed drummer boyfriend and a habit that escalated from weed to whatever kept the highs coming. But the house? That was sacred. I'd sign the papers alone. No co-signers. No family strings attached. Mom had visited once, cooed over the herb garden I'd planted out back, even helped me hang the swing on the porch where I'd sip coffee and pretend life was linear. You're doing it right.
Ain't she this age?
Her voice thick with that Midwestern warmth she faked so well. Building something real. The Uber dropped me at the curb around 7 p.m., the November sky already bruising purple. I dragged my suitcase up the flagstone path, humming some Jimmy Buffett tune to shake off the jet lag, dreaming of a hot shower and leftover pad thai from the fridge. The key stuck in the lock. Odd. But I'd chalk it up to humidity or my imagination. Then the tumblers wouldn't turn. I jiggled it, cursed under my breath. And that's when I saw it, the red and white sign, crooked in the grass. Sold, pending closing, in bold letters that hit like a gut punch. My heart stuttered.
Sold?
By who? I circled the house like a ghost, peering through the blinds, empty, stripped bare, echoes where my IKEA couch should be. The neighbor, Mrs.
Hargrove,
poked her head out, curlers in her gray hair, robe clutched tight. Emery? Honey, you okay? Thought you were still island hopping. What the hell happened? My voice cracked, higher than I'd intended, the panic bubbling up like bad acid. She glanced at the sign, then back at me, pity etching her crow's feet deeper. Your mom came by last week with movers. Said it was family business. Real estate agents been fielding offers all month. Closed yesterday. I think. Some tech bro from Amazon snagged it. Family business. The words slithered into my brain, coiling tight. I fumbled for my phone, thumbs smashing the screen until Mom's number rang through. Voicemail. Of course.
Mom.
It's M.
Call me.
Now. I left 3 more messages in the next hour, escalating from confused to furious, while I sat on the wet porch steps. Rain soaking my sundress, the chill seeping into my bones like doubt. By midnight, I'd pieced it together from frantic texts to mutual friends and a deep dive into public records on my laptop, balanced precariously on a milk crate I'd scavenged from the alley. The deed transfer, signed by Evelyn Harper, my mother, as power of attorney. Power of attorney? I'd never granted that. Forged? Or worse, something I'd blacked out on during one of our boozy holiday dinners? The buyer, Elias Grant, software engineer. $475,000, more than I'd paid. Sure, but the equity was mine. Every refinance dime from late nights mocking up logos for startups that ghosted me. And the proceeds? Wired straight to an account in Lila's name. $214,000 exact, after fees, taxes, the works. I knew that number like a scar. Last spring, Lila had crashed on my couch for a month, eyes hollow, confessing in whispers about the bad bets in Reno. Not just poker, sports, underground fights. The kind where the house always wins and the losers pay with pinkies or worse. The shark? Tommy the Blade Russo. A name that sent shivers through Seattle's underbelly. Connected to every strip club fire and unexplained disappearance from Tacoma to Bellevue. I'd fronted her $5,000 then, maxing my credit, telling her it was the last time. Get clean,
Lil.
or you're on your own. She'd hugged me, tears streaming, promising therapy and a job at Starbucks.
Lies.
All of it.
But Mom?
She'd known. Texts from a month ago, buried in my inbox. Vacation soon? Lila's in a bind. Won't bother you. I'd replied with a thumbs-up emoji. Too buzzed on pina coladas to read between the lines. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving. The city waking to its grind, commuters honking on I-5, baristas slinging lattes at the corner shop. I hadn't slept. Instead, I'd paced the block. Chain-smoking menthols, I swore I'd quit. Plodding in the haze. Call the cops? Fraud. Embezzlement, sure. But Mom would play the grieving widow card. Lila the prodigal addict. And I'd be the ungrateful daughter suing her own blood.
No.
This needed to be surgical.
Dark.
The kind of revenge that leaves scars no court can heal. I started with the bank. Posing as concerned family on the phone, my voice pitched sweet, Midwestern lilt intact, I sweet-talked a teller into confirming the wire, time-stamped 2 days ago. Flagged but cleared under gift transfer.
Gift.
The word tasted like bile. Next. Lila's socials, scrubbed clean. Last post a selfie from the Space Needle. Caption fresh starts. Glowing star grateful. Bullshit. I knew her tells. The forced grin. The over-hashtagging. By noon, I was at Mom's door. The ranch house sagging under overgrown rhododendrons. The American flag limp on its pole. She opened on the second knock. Flour-dusted apron over her muumuu. The scent of cinnamon rolls wafting out like a trap. Emery, baby. You're back early. Her hug was too tight. Eyes darting past me to the street. Don't, I said, stepping inside. the door clicking shut like a chambered round. The kitchen table held a stack of receipts. Lila's scrawled thank you note peeking out. You sold my house. My home. For her. Mom deflated into a chair, hands twisting a dish rag. It was temporary.
Eminência.
Just to get her straight. Tommy's men, they were coming for her knees. Her fingers. Your sister. She's all I have left of your father in her. Tears welled. Practiced. The same ones that got her out of speeding tickets and bad debts. I laughed. A hollow bark that echoed off the Formica counters. And me? What am I? The sacrificial lamb? I took the fall for her shoplifting bust in high school, community service while she partied. Forged my SIG on that student loan so she could study abroad. And now this? You think a wire transfer erases that? She reached for my hand. I yanked it back. Power of attorney. You signed it last Christmas? Remember? After the eggnog. Said you'd help if things got dire. Liar. I'd been sober that night, nursing a ginger ale while they drowned in Merlot. But doubt wormed in blurry memories, her pressing papers under the tree lights. Show me. She did, pulling a folder from the sideboard. My signature, loopy and off. But mine. Forged or coerced in a blackout I couldn't recall. The room spun. Seattle's relentless drizzle pattering the window like accusatory fingers. That night, alone in my old twin bed, posters of Nirvana peeling from the walls, I stared at the ceiling fan's lazy spin. The weight of it all pressing down. Betrayal wasn't just the sale, it was the erasure. The way they'd carved me out to save themselves. Lila texted at 2 a.m. Heard you are pissed.
SRY6.
Dinner soon? My treat. 2 hearts.
Delete.
Block. The first cut. But revenge? It bloomed slow. A poison ivy vine twisting through my veins. I'd start small, freeze their assets, whisper to the wrong ears about Tommy's settled debt. But the real play? Expose the secret they'd buried deeper than Dad's ashes, the hidden run Lila caused freshman year. The one I confessed to as a favor, trading my clean record for her freedom. Mom had covered the payout, hucking Grandma's pearls. I'd carried that guilt like a millstone. Therapy bills stacking up while they toasted her second chances. No more. By morning, I'd hired a PI discreet, cash only. The kind who haunted dive bars in Pioneer Square. Dig up dirt on Lila Harper and Evelyn. Debts. Lies. The works. And that accident, get me proof it wasn't mine. The PI, a grizzled ex-cop named Vic, grunted over the line. This family stuff burns hot.
Kid.
You sure? Surer than blood, I said, and hung up. The line dead as my trust. Days blurred into a haze of caffeine and cat videos. My Airbnb a sterile box in Belltown, overlooking the Sound. Vic's first drop came via encrypted email, photos of Lila at a casino in Tukwila. Flashing cash like it was confetti. Tommy's goons shadowing her booth. Mom's browser history? Searches for quick house sales Seattle dating back to summer. Interspersed with Alzheimer's early signs, a ploy, or genuine fear she'd slip and spill. I confronted Lila next, ambushing her at a hipster brunch spot in Fremont, avocado toast and oat milk lattes. The irony thick as the fog rolling off the ship canal. She slid into the booth. Designer sunglasses perched on her bleach blonde bob, smelling of vanilla and vice.
Ink.
God. You look wrecked. Vacation blues. You look flush, I countered, sliding a printout of The Wire across the table. New handbag? Or did mom's theft fund your next bender? Her laugh tinkled like breaking glass. Theft? Drama queen. It was collateral. Okay, I'd pay you back, double.
Triple.
Come on. You're the smart one. Help me flip this into something big. Investments. Crypto. Save it. I leaned in, voice low, the clink of silverware fading. The accident. 2008. Dad's old Civic totaled on Aurora. You were driving, wasted on prom night punch. I said it was me to keep you out of juvie. Carried the insurance fraud rap, the therapy, the whispers at family reunions. And for what? So you could rack up $214,000 to sharks because you can't fold a bad hand. Color drained from her face, fork hovering midair.
You.
You remember that? I thought we'd buried it. Mom said. Mom says a lot. I stood, tossing a 20 on the table. Tell her the grave's dug fresh. And I'm the one with the shovel. As I walked out into the crisp air, hipsters snapping pics of their flat whites, a thrill zipped through me, dark, electric, the first taste of power. But guilt nipped at its heels. Was this me, or the monster they'd made? Seattle's pulse thrummed around me, fairy horns, street buskers strumming Dylan covers, and I wondered if revenge was the cure or just another debt I'd never repay. Vic called that evening, voice gravelly over the hum of traffic. Got a lead on the forgery. You're my Houston notary buddy from church, loose lips after a few bourbons. But here's the twist. That debt? Not all gambling. Lila's been running side hustles, pills from Canada, fencing knockoffs downtown. Tommy's cut of the action. And your mom? She's in deeper than you think. Co-signed a second mortgage on her place last year. To fund Lila's startup. My laugh was bitter, echoing in the empty Airbnb. Startup. Right. But the pieces clicked. Mom's sudden yard sales, the way she'd eyed my bungalow like a lifeline. Not just saving Lila, saving herself from the fallout. I spent the night scrolling Zillow ghosts, floor plans of my lost home mocking me with virtual tours. Elias Grant had already moved in. LinkedIn profile showed him grinning in a Seahawks jersey. Family man with a golden retriever. Innocent pawn in their game. Or was he? A quick search. His firm handled real estate flips for investors with mob ties. Coincidence? Or the universe's cruel joke? By week's end, the plan solidified. A web spun from spite and spite alone. Step 1. Anonymous tip to Tommy's crew. Lila's repayment was half-baked. The rest siphoned to Mom's gambling app addictions I'd just uncovered in Vic's latest batch. Step 2. Leak the accident report to a true crime podcast hungry for local scandals. Seattle Sisters. Blood or lies? Step 3. The face-to-face. Where I'd make them beg. Not for forgiveness, but for the mercy only I could grant. But as I lay there, city lights flickering like faulty stars, a whisper crept in. What if I was the villain? The one burning bridges for the warmth of ashes. Seattle slept on, indifferent, and I closed my eyes, dreaming of flames licking the edges of that sold sign. The podcaster's episode dropped like a bomb on a Tuesday morning, my phone blowing up before the first sip of my black coffee could hit my lips. Sisters in the Shadows, a Seattle scandal unraveled. I'd fed them the bones. Police blotter scans. My anonymized confession transcript from '08. Vic's blurred photos of Lila's casino nights. They fleshed it out with dramatic reenactments. A husky-voiced host speculating on familial psychosis and cycles of enabling. By lunch, it had 50K downloads. Reddit threads erupting in AITA for exposing my crimsis. Clones. Armchair therapists dissecting us like specimens under glass. Lila's Instagram imploded. Followers fleeing like rats from a sinking ferry. Brands ghosting her influencer gigs. She called at 2:17 p.m. Number unblocked just long enough for the satisfaction. You bitch. That podcast? My life's ruined. Tommy's guys torched my car last night.
Eminência.
Torched it. Sobs choked her words. Mascara probably running in black rivers down her cheeks. Good, I said, voice steady as the space needle on a clear day. Maybe next time you'll think before you play house with my equity. Mom's having a breakdown. Pills. The real kind. You happy now?
Click.
Silence. But the hook was set. I could hear the lines straining. Mom showed up at my Airbnb that evening, unannounced. Her Oldsmobile idling curbside like a getaway car. She looked smaller somehow, shoulders hunched under a rain-slicked cardigan. Eyes red-rimmed from crying or crying wolf. I buzzed her up, the door beeping open to the scent of wet wool and desperation. Emery, please. Let's talk. Like adults. We sat on the stiff sectional. A bottle of Pinot Grigio between us that I didn't touch. She poured a glass with trembling hands, the liquid sloshing like my resolve. I did it for love, baby. You wouldn't understand, you're so independent. Lila needs me. Always has. Needs you to steal from me? I cross my arms, the city's neon glow painting us in pinks and blues through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Or needs you to cover her kills. That pedestrian she hit broken hip. Lifelong limp. I lied for her.
Mom.
Said I was the one swerving. Took the plea deal. The record that tanked my grad school apps. And you let me. Her face crumpled. A dam breaking. She was 16, spiraling after your dad. The booze. The boys. I couldn't lose her too. She reached across. Fingers cold on mine. The house, it was practical. Your place appreciated. Lila promised restitution. And me? I was drowning in her mess. That second mortgage? Foreclosure notice came yesterday. Pity flickered. Unbidden. A spark in the dark. This was the woman who'd bandaged my scraped knees. Sung me, you are my sunshine through fevers. But the flame guttered quick. Practical? You forged my sig. Vic has the notary's affidavit, swears you pressured him with church guilt. Lies. But her eyes skittered away, guilty as a cornered fox. He misunderstood. Emery, forgive us. Family sticks. Not when it bleeds you dry. I stood, pacing to the window. Puget Sound a black mirror below. Here's the deal. Deed back the money. All of it. Or the full file drops, accident details, your mortgage fraud, Lila's pill ring. Tommy gets an earful too. Your choice. She recoiled. Glass shattering on the hardwood. Wine pooling like blood. Minus the mess. Blackmail? From my own daughter? God. What happened to you in Hawaii? Sunstroke and spite? Hawaii showed me life without you too.
Peace.
Now you've poisoned that too. The words hung heavy. The room thick with the ozone tang of storm clouds gathering outside. She left in tears, the door slamming like a verdict. But victory soured fast. That night, dreams twisted, Dad's ghost at the wheel of the wrecked Civic. Lila's laughter morphing to screams. Mom's hands clawing at my throat. I woke sweating. The podcast's theme music looping in my head, like a curse. Vic's next intel arrived at dawn. A dossier thick as a Bible. Lila hadn't just gambled, she'd embezzled from her startup, a pop-up boutique in Ballard that laundered Tommy's cash through overpriced athleisure. Mom? Not just enabling, she'd wired seed money from Dad's life insurance. The pot I'd assumed was untouchable. Earmarked for my future. $50,000 gone.
Poof.
To fund sequins and slots. And the twist? Elias Grant. My house's new owner, his flips weren't clean. Shell companies linked to Russo's syndicate. Buying distressed properties to launder hits. Karma or conspiracy? I drove to Capitol Hill that afternoon, parking a block from my old street, binoculars trained on the bungalow. Workers buzzed like bees, new siding. Smart locks gleaming. Elias emerged, labradoodle on a leash, waving to a crew in Russo ink. My stomach nodded. Had Mom sold to the devil knowingly? Or was this the universe's middle finger, turning my revenge into a Russian doll of rot? I tailed him to a coffee shop in Madrona, artisan pour-overs and laptop warriors, slipping into the next table. Ears pricked.
Yeah.
The Hill deal's solid, he murmured into his AirPods. Voice all bro vibes. Seller's ex-wife handled the rush close. Desperate times.
Right?
Russo's cut clears next week. Ex-wife. Mom wasn't, unless.
No.
But the seed planted. Doubts sprouting thorns. I confronted her again that night. Storming the ranch house. Thunder rumbling overhead like divine disapproval. Elias Grant. You sold to a mob front. She was in the kitchen, chopping onions with mechanical fury, the knife flashing silver.
Who?
I don't. Liar. I snatched her phone from the counter. Scrolling texts. Elias. Closing Thursday? Evelyn urgent. Russo sends regards. Make it clean. My blood ran cold. You knew. Tommy's boy. Laundering my home's bones. Tears mixed with the cutting board's mess. It was clean money.
Or.
Mostly. He promised no traces. Lila needed out, full out. I had to. You had to whore my life for hers? Rage boiled over. My fist slamming the table, sending a vase of wilted daisies crashing. Water bloomed across the linoleum, petals scattering like confetti from hell. I'm done playing fixer. Cops get the file tomorrow. All of it. She lunged, grabbing my wrist, nails digging crescents. Please.
Eminência.
She's your blood. I'm your blood. Think of the scandal, the headlines. Daughter destroys family over brick and mortar. Is that you? The room tilted. Her words venom-sweet.
Blood.
The word echoed Dad's last rasp. The ER beeps flatlining hope. I wrenched free, storming out into the downpour. Wipers slashing the windshield like accusations on the drive back. Lila ambushed me 2 days later. At my design studio in Soto, where houses reborn as creative hives. Graffiti murals splashing color on the gray. She burst through the door, wild-eyed, rain dripping from her hoodie, a duffel slung over her shoulder.
Ink.
Hide me. Tommy's crew, they think I skimmed. The podcast painted a target. Mom's place is watched, pity warred with fury. Her fragility a siren's call. Why here? Why me? Because you're the strong one. She dropped the bag. Zippers spilling cash, crisp hundreds, rubber-banded. $100,000. Starter repayment.
Take it.
Help. I stared. The stack's a siren's lure. Enough for a deposit on something new. A fresh start untainted.
but the poison vine tightened.
This blood money? From what? Another con?
No.
Legit hustle. Please. Sis. She crumpled to her knees. The concrete floor unforgiving. Sobs racking her frame. The studio's other artists glanced over. Awkward. Pretending to sketch. I knelt, thumbing a bill, crisp.
Damning.
One condition, confess. The accident. The debts. All of it. On record. Mom, too. Her head snapped up. Eyes feral. Betray us? After everything? Everything you betrayed first. The words tasted like ash. But I held her gaze. The rain hammering the tin roof like a gavel. She bolted then, duffel forgotten, vanishing into the industrial sprawl. I called Vic. Track her. And up the heat on Mom, IRS tip line. Anonymous. The line clicked dead, but the die was cast. That weekend, the climax brewed at a family summit. I forced neutral ground. A Denny's off I-90, the kind with sticky booths and bottomless coffee that tasted like regret. Mom arrived first, Bible clutched like a shield, Lila trailing, gaunt and twitchy, hoodie shadowing her face. We slid into the vinyl, the grand slam platter congealing untouched, waitress eyeing us like a sideshow. Talk, I said, sliding printouts across. Vic's full dossier. IRS liens drafted. A USB of the podcaster's follow-up interview ready to drop. Mom's hands shook, crossing herself. Emery, this isn't Christian. Vengeance is the Lord's. Funny. Coming from the woman who played God with my deed. I turned to Lila. Your move.
Confess.
Or I hit send. Lila's laugh was brittle. Nails tapping the formica. You think you're the hero? Exposing us saves who, your ego? That house was over-leveraged anyway. You were drowning in repairs. I snarled. Until you two torpedoed it. Mom interjected. Voice quavering. We can fix this. Sell my rings. The china. Repay in installments. Family first. The words hung. A truce laced with toxin.
Outside.
Seattle's traffic snarled, horns blaring like the world's impatience. I wavered, the easy out, the blood tie pulling like gravity. But the vine choked tighter.
No.
Full truth. Or full fallout. Lila's eyes narrowed. A flip switching.
Fine.
But you first admit it. You hated Dad's drinking, blamed us for not leaving. That confession? Half guilt trip, half control.
Stab.
Truth twisted like a knife. I'd harbored that resentment, festering, fueling my fixes. Mom nodded.
Sly. See?
We're all monsters.
Eminencia.
Let it go. The booth closed in. Coffee bitter on my tongue. Send or fold. The waitress refilled my mug. Oblivious. And in that suspended breath, I saw the split. Mercy as weakness. Justice as cruelty. My thumb hovered over the phone. The Denny's air conditioner hummed like a lie detector, amplifying the silence as my thumb ghosted the send button. Lila's accusation lingered, a mirror cracking my self-righteousness. Yes, I'd nursed grudges against Dad's ghost, against their endless orbit of need. But that didn't erase the ink on the deed, the cold steel of changed locks. Mom's Bible-thumping plea twisted the knife deeper, her eyes pleading not for absolution, but survival. Family first, or family as weapon? Fuck it, I muttered. hitting send. The whoosh was anticlimactic. A digital guillotine dropping unseen. Emails winged to the podcaster. IRS drones. Even a contact at the SPD Cold Cases Unit, the accident file. Notarized. With my recantation affidavit, Vic had rushed. Lila's phone buzzed first. The podcaster. Live tweeting the exclusive follow-up. Mom's followed. A foreclosure alert chime. Their faces, shock melting to something feral, mirrored my own buried fear. You did it, Lila hissed, shoving back from the table. Plate clattering. Ruined us. For what? A vendetta high. Balance, I said. But it rang hollow. The coffee turning to lead in my gut. Mom wept silently. Tears carving tracks through her pancake makeup. The Bible slipping to the floor with a thud. I stood, tossing a 50 for the untouched meal. The vinyl peeling from the bench, like shed skin. You made me the villain. Own it. Outside. The I-90 on-ramp loomed, a concrete vein pulsing with rush hour rage. I peeled out in my beat-up Civic, Dad's old beater. Irony's cherry, tires spitting gravel. The Denny's shrinking in the rear view. My phone erupted. Vic. Terse, cops inbound. Get clear. Then Elias Grant. Unknown number. Heard about the seller. Russo's pissed your play. I blocked it. Heart jackhammering. The sound bridges lights blurring through tears I hadn't permissioned. Back at the Airbnb. I paced like a caged wolf. The city a glittering cage below. Victory? It tasted like vinegar. The podcast's second episode already trending. Harper Sisters hell. Comments a bloodbath of Team Emery cheers and enablers deserve it roasts. Countered by blood's thicker. Opie is toxic AF. The divide cracked wide. Was I avenger or abuser? The stats rolled in, listens spiking. Donors flooding the podcaster's Patreon with Justice Fund bucks. My Venmo pinged. Strangers wiring 20s. 50s. For the house, fuck family fraud. Guilt gnawed. A rat in the walls. That night, Lila's texts pierced the blocks. Burner app. Desperate. Hiding in a motel off 99. Tommy's men kicked in Mom's door. She OD'd. Hospital. Our fault. A photo attached. Mom on a gurney. Tubes snaking. Monitors beeping accusation. My knees buckled. The floor cold as the rain lashed windows. I drove to Harborview ER under cover of midnight. The lot a maze of ambulances and regret. The waiting room reeked of bleach and despair. Flu season coughs. A junkie twitching in the corner. Mom was stable. They said, barbiturates and bourbon. Her third episode this year. Lila huddled by the bedside. Feral cat to Mom's wounded bird. For drip beeping time. She spotted me in the doorway. Lunging like a shadow. Get out, she snarled. Shoving me into the hall. Fluorescent buzz overhead merciless. You happy? She's catatonic, docs say trauma-induced. Your balance broke her. Words failed. Throat tight as the Puget Tide. I didn't mean lie. I'd meant every click. Every whisper to Vic. But seeing Mom, 62, frail under starched sheets, the woman who'd force-fed me kale smoothies post-dad, cracked the vine. Thorns drawing my own blood. Lila's flip came swift, voice dropping to venom whisper. Join us or watch us burn. Tommy wants the rest of the take. Elias folded, riding the chain. Cops have your prints on the PI drops. Accomplice now. Cease. The hall spun. Monitors wailing like sirens. Accomplice? To what, their crimes? Or my own unraveling? A nurse bustled past, clipboard in hand, oblivious to the implosion. "Family?" she asked, eyeing us. "Always," Lila said, sly smile cracking through the rage. Mom stirred then, eyes fluttering open, hazel. Like mine. Like Dad's, locking on me with milky confusion.
Eminencia.
"Baby, the house. It's yours again. Delirium or dodge." But the words unlocked something. A floodgate. I collapsed into the visitor chair. Lila's hand on my shoulder, tentative, then tight. We sat like that. The three of us a tangled knot. Machines beeping a fragile truce as dawn crept over Elliott Bay. The twist hit 2 days later. Post-discharge. Mom convalescing in a rented Ballard walk-up I'd fronted. Ironies full circle. Vic called from a payphone in Spokane. Voice edged with gravel. "Your ma? Not OD.
Staged.
Pills swapped with vitamins. Bourbon decoy. She and Lila, they played you. Wired the repayment to an offshore account last night. $300,000 now. Including your donor haul. Cleaned out. Betrayals echo. Deeper this time. A chasm swallowing light. But the real gut punch, the accident file? Fabricated. Vic's affidavit, traced to a forger on Craigslist.
Paid by. Me?
No, hacked emails showed Lila intercepting my instructions, twisting the narrative to frame me as the liar, the aggressor. The Podcasters exclusive, fed by her. Anonymous tip from a scared sibling. I'd been the mark all along. My rage the perfect smokescreen for their escape. Seattle laughed. Indifferent. Marathoners pounding the waterfront. Techies queuing for poke bowls as I pieced it in a coffee shop on Capitol Hill. Blocks from my ghost house. Elias had texted again. "Russo's out. Deal's yours if you want it back."
No strings.
A buyback clause. Buried in the fine print Mom's notary had slipped in. Mercy? Or another hook? I drove to the bungalow that afternoon. Key from the agent in my pocket, contingent on my signature. A second chance wrapped in barbed wire. The porch swing creaked empty. Herb garden overgrown. But inside, echoes of my life. Furniture returned. Scuffed but whole. A note on the mantel in Mom's cursive. "Forgive or forget. Love always. Evelyn." Lila's addendum. Scribbled below. "We win either way. Blood's the best con." Rage reignited. But tempered now you am. Yes. But laced with the gray of truth. No one's hands clean. Mine's sticky with spite. Theirs with schemes. I burned the note in the sink. Flames licking blue. Then called a realtor, list it fresh. Cash out. Vanish to Portland or points east. Revenge? A cycle. Not a climax. The final twist. Elias's offer wasn't bait. It was Russo's olive branch. Tommy himself on the line when I dialed. "Kid, your ma paid double. We're square. But you got fire. Job offer legit flips. No strings. Or walk. Temptation's whisper. The American dream repackaged." I hung up, undecided. The city humming on. Mom and Lila? Vanished. Burner traces to a Greyhound eastbound. Whispers of a Reno reboot. I let them go. The weight lifting like fog off the sound. But the scar throbbed. Trust's corpse. Buried shallow. Months later. From a studio loft in Eugene. Ferns framing the windows. No family photos on the walls. I'd catch glimpses. Lila's TikToks from Vegas dives. Mom's church bulletins mailed care of general delivery. No contact.
No closure.
The podcaster faded. Scandals sated. But the debates raged in dark web corners. Emery the martyr or monster? Split down the middle. As I'd engineered. Was it happy? Tragic? Depends on the lens, mine. Cracked but clear. Sees survival as the only win. Seattle shrinks in the mirrors as I drive south. Radio crackling with some Bruce Springsteen anthem about ghosts on the turnpike. Blood may be thicker. But ink, it washes off. And me, I'm writing my own page. 1 mile marker at a time.